let's get to the Michigan panic meter.
Hold on, still a work in progress. Stall for like a minute.
All right. I am stalling now for a minute. Listen, I got to say,
Here's what you need to say. We have imaging for this. It has finally happened.
you know what? That's actually the best way to put it is we have been begging the uppers at 2400 Sports and at Odyssey for some sort of graphic on this, and they have finally come through. And we did have to there were rewrites. All right. They initially gave us a very nice graph, but there was not enough white
Not enough white. We
represented,
needed more.
and we got it.
Yeah,
We
because there's
got it.
not enough of that on this show or in this
Yeah.
country.
Yeah, or in Odyssey in general, but
Yeah.
no, we got it finally, and I will say the reason I'm having to stall is because I changed it literally as we were talking about it. Let's get to the Michigan panic.
Nick flip flop now.
Yes, but it's a good flip flop. You'll like it. Are you going to go first? Or am I going to go first?
You can go first.
All right. I came into this at light scarlet. And if you guys know, if you're not familiar with the Michigan panic meter, we've got 5 levels. The least panicked is gray, and then goes light gray, then white, which is neutral basically, then light scarlet, and then regular scarlet. And I had been light scarlet. But ever since Jim Harbaugh got suspended, I don't know it's a guarantee that he's going to be there for the game. And ever since I saw Sharon Moore cry as if like it was Band of Brothers, like 60 years later, like at the end of Band of Brothers, when Dick Winters talks about, my grandson asked me if I was a hero. And I thought about it and I said, no, but I served in the company of some heroes. That's the kind of energy Sharon Moore put off for a head coach making $10 million a year. Well, like $8 million a year because he got a pay cut a couple years ago, but who's going to be just fine. So I kind of think Michigan actually might be a little soft. I kind of think like I'm moving it back to white. I am now neutral. I am neither panicking nor not panicking. I am right there in the middle because I lost a little bit of respect for the toughness of Michigan today.
Thank you.
So that is where I am.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like we talk about, football is this tough guy sport. Then you got people out here crying because their head coach had to wait at the hotel for the game during the game. Give me a fucking break.
Listen, you can cry there's a lot. Okay, Caleb Williams, I had no problem with him.
Yeah, I had no problem with that. Right? But
when Mike Leach actually died, that's an appropriate time to cry. Your head coach dies. Jim Harbaugh is at a local Hooters watching the game because he got suspended by the Big Ten, even albeit in an unfair manner. Let's simmer down a little bit.
While it is proven that you cheated, like there is actual evidence that you did these things.
Well, let's remember there's a difference between it's been proven and there's evidence. Proven means it's actually been.
There's evidence that they cheated out there that is public consumption. Well, along the same lines of what you said, the crying from Sharon Moore, and beyond that though, like I'm not just going to base this off of that incident alone, because I watched that game against Penn State, and then you juxtapose it to the game tonight, which I know it's Michigan State. It's a cupcake matchup in this instance for Ohio State. They covered the spread. It was a massive spread. You kind of figured this was going to happen. But with what I saw from Ohio State tonight and what I've seen the last couple of weeks, seems like they're building some momentum. I think Michigan rather, seems like they're soft about this whole scandal and the crying and whatever. And because I thought Penn State played at least as close of a game as they played against you if you're Ohio State, like that felt like a similar style game as what we saw in Ohio State, Penn State earlier this year. And it felt like a matchup that Ohio State actually has a chance in. So for the first time, Nick, I'm going into the light gray, baby.
Look at that. This is downright hubris.
Light gray. We haven't had light gray this entire time, but I'm there after I watched that Penn State-Michigan game because I felt that Penn State kept that close. We knew Penn State wasn't going to win because James Franklin always throws up on himself, and that's exactly what happened. But, they kept it close, and I felt if they were close to Penn State and Michigan, I think Ohio State has a little bit better footing than maybe I gave them credit for, and I think they could also play a close game against Michigan. And if it comes down to like a one-score game, who knows, anything can happen. So I'm feeling very light grade today.
All right, guys. Now it's time for our love it, like it, and leave it. You can leave yours in the comments there. If we see them before the end of the live show here, we will, of course, react to them. So give us something you like, or sorry, something you love from today's game, something you like from today's game, and something you'd like to leave from today's game. I will start with love it. 35 first half points. Ryan Day, after the Rutgers game, talked about the importance of needing to be aggressive early. I don't care it's against Michigan State. You scored 35 of your 38 points, and you were in cruise control. Really, by the time you scored that last touchdown, let alone once you got in the second half, where we did get to see, I believe, either your third or fourth string quarterback today, which is exactly where I like to be. So I loved the 35 first half points by the Buckeyes offense.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I'm sort of along the same lines. Well, I was going to say, circling back to what we talked about Marvin Harrison, I loved the wrinkle of having Marvin Harrison Jr. in the run game. I think that's something that you can use, especially with Kyle McCord not being as mobile. It's a different element you could bring to the offense. So I hope that's something that they continue to try or use, especially in some of these bigger games. So I think that's one. But also, I really loved just you mentioned the 35 first half points. This offense from the out of the gate was lights out, running, gunning up and down the field. It's exactly what you need. I had talked about last week how they were averaging like 10 points, I think, in the first quarter or in the first half and altogether. So to see them kind of come out hot was an encouraging sign that hopefully is a sign of things to come.
All right, now it's time. Oh, by the way, real quick, Chuck saying he loved that Ohio State covered the spread and got to rest their starters. That brings us to like it. And I like that you only needed 13 carries and 63 yards from Travion Henderson. He did have the touchdown today. I think, coming off that injury, I know Travion's a war daddy. I understand that he can handle a significant workload. But, man, they had 46 carries the last 2 weeks in games, especially against Rutgers, where, I think he had either 24 or 22 carries of the 46 carries in his 2 games since returning from an injury. That's a lot of work in a matchup against Rutgers. Maybe it shouldn't take that kind of workload. So the idea that you were able to rest, you kept him fresh. He got his action in, but then was able to come out. I thought that was really, really important. I thought they did a good job of getting Trainum in there. Xavier Johnson ran the ball. Marvin Harrison Jr. ran the ball. So they even got the wide receivers in it. I thought that was, to me, that's a very nice subplot to come out of this game.
I like it. I actually spoiled earlier in the show, but I was going to say the gray unis. I was a fan. I enjoyed them. I thought they were nice for this setup, the night game. I enjoyed those. Sorry, Nick. Are you a uniform guy? Like, do you care about that stuff, or do you just kind of like
usually?
Whatever?
Yeah, usually I don't care about uniforms or announcers. So they have to be either really good or really bad, in my opinion, for me to like be bugged by it. All right, so we've gotten my like it and my love it, and we got Spencer's like it and love it. Keep putting your like it and love it in the comments there. I will now go to my leave it. And all right, I'm totally okay that they didn't run it up. Anybody else want to see a little bit more from Lincoln Keenholz? Because that kid, if you don't know his story, he's a kid from South Dakota that, like, they basically said, we'll see if you ever see the light of day. And I know Devin Brown has been hurt, but like this kid has already kind of worked his way up behind a few more guys that are actually a little more. The kid Tristan, I think his name is Ebius, who I think was the third stringer. And I gotta say, Lincoln Keenholz did not seem in any way intimidated by the moment. He only threw, I think, 3 passes, but like, I kind of want to see if I kind of want to just say like, hey, let's let the kid cook a little bit, because he kind of is a cocky little bastard, and I kind of was like, I get it, guys. It's a Saturday night. Maybe I've had a couple cocktails, but I kind of was like digging the vibe of Lincoln Keenholz. I wanted to see a little bit more. I want to see maybe 5 or 6 passes and just see, can we get something over the top? Just to give me a little taste.
Could you could you see him supplanting McCord next year?
No. But
You're like, don't go that far, Spencer. Oh,
well, I
man.
mean, I think
It's
if
been a very
anybody's
hyperbolic show, but not that much.
if
Jeez.
anybody supplants McCord next year, it's either going to be Aaron Noland or a transfer. So, but
I
maybe
got a transfer in
two,
mind.
two or three. Is it Michael Pratt of Tulane?
Yes,
Okay,
that's exactly. We're on the same wavelength. We are
Also,
exactly on the
Chuck
same
saying,
wavelength.
"Leave it." The NBC announcers.
Mm.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna leave it right there because I don't disagree. What's your leave it, buddy?
Well, I think the obvious leave it is having this game in prime time. I mean, what a joke, really. But I mean, I guess it's not like they knew that going in. But I think here's what needs to happen: college football needs to wise up and do what the NFL does, which is if late in the season there's matchups that are more advantageous to getting eyes on them, that are more important to the landscape of college football, they should be flexing those games into later slots and moving late slot games into earlier slots. I think that should be what happens.
So so the problem is obviously that it's from different networks. So this was on
Yeah, no,
NBC,
I understand
but
that for sure.
I think it should be called merciful scheduling because the idea
I think
that
NBC also needs to just be like, listen, Notre Dame, we love you, but if you guys have 3 losses in November, we're going to prioritize games that matter more. Sorry.
I also would just say like nobody wanted to watch this friggin' game at 7:30 at night. This is just call it merciful scheduling, call it common sense scheduling, call it whatever you want. But it was just caca. And again, Ohio State did everything they needed to. There's no downgrading this win.
No
Good
Pac-12
for
after
them.
dark next year. Like we're
But
gonna have nothing.
let's just use a little bit more common sense here. Thank you to all the commentators, all the people that chipped in the comment section there. Please do not forget to like, rate, subscribe, and follow. Some of those things you only can do one or two of, but make sure to do that. We are a new podcast. We appreciate your patronage. Spencer, I actually thought we talked more about this game and the Michigan thing than I thought we would. I thought this was going to be like a 30-minute podcast. So good job out of you, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I put the over under on talking about Michigan State, Ohio State at like 5 minutes, and we definitely exceeded that. So I hope you guys pounded the over there.
All right, guys, always pound the over. Follow at Nick Wilson says it right there. At Spencito _. Why the underscore? We'll never know. We'll see you guys on Tuesday when we start talking about the Minnesota game and whatever latest batshit stuff is coming out of this Michigan scandal. See you guys.